Yesterday's state budget may have been tight, but there were still winners on the North Coast. The local health sector fared well, with almost $4 million pledged towards plans for Lismore Base and Byron Central hospitals.
Another year, another budget, and while this one was tough, the North Coast hasn't entirely missed out. The health sector has remained a priority, the state government pledging $3.9 million towards planning Stage 3 of the Lismore Base Hospital upgrade and the construction of Byron Central Hospital. The allocation for Lismore will be added to the $20 million pledged in May, which will go towards expanding the emergency department.
If you don't have the planning done, you can't access the capital funds. So it's really important to get that money in place and to get the planning done.
From health to housing, new home buyers have been given a $15,000 incentive to buy into the market. Good news for the North Coast.
There's a chronic lack of new housing being built. There's a shortage of supply, and that does create or contribute massively to the housing crisis that we have in this state.
But while the Social Development Council welcomes the incentive, it would also have liked to have seen money put towards social housing and lowering the cost of rental properties.
Generally, people in the highest level of need aren't home buyers, they're in rental accommodation.
Councils across the state will also share in an extra $30 million allocated for community infrastructure, including roads.
Obviously, it's a step in the right direction, but I must say, in terms of our infrastructure backlog right across the state, it's a small piece.
Kate Dorrington, NBN News.
Meanwhile, the O'Farrell government's failure to match federal funding for the Pacific Highway upgrade in yesterday's budget has drawn a hostile response on the North Coast. The state government says it will contribute just 20% of the estimated $7 billion project.
It's the region's single biggest issue, and yet no political party seems able to deliver. When the federal government allocated $3.5 billion in its budget this year, it seemed like at last the job would get done and we'd see an end to carnage like this. All that was needed was a match in funding in yesterday's state budget. But the best the O'Farrell government could come up with was 20% of the cost.
Yesterday was, I believe, a lost opportunity. There's no evidence that supports the claim that there has been any formal agreement for an 80-20 split.
The Nationals, who hold every state seat between Newcastle and the Queensland border, have been criticised for their failure to gain matching funding from the O'Farrell government, which yesterday allocated more than $3 billion for a rail link in northwest Sydney.
I'm quite sure that we don't have the tragedies each day in Sydney that we are witnessing on the Pacific Highway.
Every state National Party member has made the promise that they'd get this job done by 2016. They have now fallen in behind a rail project in Sydney.
Now the federal government is set to yank back $2 billion, throwing the completion date of 2016 out the window.
That means the completion date's now looking more like 2022, 25. That is a huge back down and a broken promise.
Dennis Driver, NBN News.
North Coast trawler operators say they're fed up with waiting for the state government to finalise its report on dredging the Ballina Bar. Recent wild weather has worsened the condition of the river mouth, making it difficult for fishermen to operate. Ballina Fishermen's Co-op manager Phil Hilliard says his trawlers haven't been out for a month.
We've got 15 staff, a lot of them sitting down doing nothing, a lot of them on leave just because they just can't go to work.
The state government was due to release its findings in March, but now claims it will need to do further testing.
A grant from the federal government to the East Coast Whale Catalogue has given birth to a new whale watching initiative. Now the public is being encouraged to photograph humpback whales and upload them in the name of science.
Much like a fingerprint, the fluke, or underside of a whale's tail, bears a unique pattern of identification. Now the people are being encouraged to photograph the fluke of humpback whales in a bid to help scientists track their migration.
What we're asking is for the public who are out enjoying whales on whale watch tours or from the coastline if the whales are in close, to send in their best images of the underside of the tail fluke.
From there, Southern Cross Masters tutor Peter Beeman will examine the photographs against a database of whales.
There's still an awful lot that we don't understand about the migration patterns, and so this project will expand along the coast and hopefully tell us more about how fast the whales travel, when they travel, who they travel with.
Already, North Coast locals have had success tracking one roaming humpback.
That whale was photographed in Byron Bay and it went to New Caledonia and it came back and then it was photographed again in Byron Bay.
And now is the time to spot them.
The other great thing about this year is that we have 17,000 humpback whales migrating along our coastline, so it's a record number since whaling.
Camilla Campbell, NBN News.
Australian Bollywood pop star and actress Alicia is the Gold Coast's new tourism ambassador for India. The sultry star, who uses the city in her video clips, says she wants to tell the world about her love affair with the Gold Coast.
It is amazing. Go to the Gold Coast, then die.
I want them to see Australia and think about Gold Coast and come here as their next preferred destination.
Mayor Tom Tate appointed the star not only to attract the lucrative Indian travel market, but also investors.
Fun and clean cut and ready to go. And that's what